It is Andy here to deliver you your overnight thin-cut premium Boar's Head Deli Sniffs. And we got them from multiple departments here. We have that low-sodium turkey in the NHL, and then we got that Genoa salami, that maple honey ham in the NFL. It's a great matchup in the NFL, although the records probably wouldn't suggest it. You see, they're 500, they're way under 500. But there are a lot of names in this game to get excited about. Many names that have probably cashed many bets for you in the past, but names that have screwed you so far this year with the myriad of injuries both of these teams have dealt with so far. But this is healthy as they've been, and I think this game should be a relatively entertaining one. So I'll start with the NFL, and then I'll go to the NHL. And for those of you who are clamoring, I want more NHL, give me more cowbell, you guys know, up until about Thanksgiving, it's way better for me to focus on the NFL, A, because I'm having a very good year, and B, I just like to get through those 20 games so I have a decent assessment of the teams so then I can really start focusing in on specific type of bets. Because as you always know, this is the third straight year, early season NHL is not an Andy time. I get better like the Oilers as the year goes on. So let's start in the NFL. We got the Rams and Miami, and I don't think I'm really playing with the pizzeria. I'm not behind the counter at the pizzeria. I'm one of those guys working in the back just throwing all the ingredients together.
Okay, why? What's the matter? My pizza's no good?
I got your standard regular guy, one of the guys who have screwed you multiple times all year long. Although I think the one time I really gave him out was with just a random half of a rushing yard, and this is T.Hill. Look, since Tua's come back into the lineup, this kind of looks like the offense. It's starting to roll, but they're just a little bit off. And T.Hill, he's getting his looks, but he hasn't really clicked. So I'm going with an assortment of T.Hill bets, just your regular 9 to 5. And we thought that would be stupid back with the Chiefs game last week when I'm like, look, I want the over 1.5 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes and the over on Travis Kelce yards. It's going to be similar today. I want the over on receiving for T.Hill, 71.5. We know when him and Tua are in sync. I really just wanted to give you a corny Justin Timberlake, it's gonna be May, that the worst meme of all time. But 70.5, or was it, I think 70.5 receiving yards for T.Hill is definitely something I can get behind, but it's probably not my favorite play. I'm looking at D.Achane. It was something that I talked about on a Dave and a Dan. Back on Friday, the line was 51.5. I think as of Sunday, it's still 54.5. That's a number I can still deal with, and that's D.Achane's rushing yards. I like this in this game for a couple different reasons. Number one, you're not really too scared of this Rams defense. Number two, Raheem Mostert has really not just fumbling the bag, but he's fumbling Miami's season. A lot of costly fumbles these past couple of weeks, and they've resulted in his benchings. So are they going to keep going back to him? Because they moved off of him in the fourth quarter last game. I mean, that was a critical fumble. So I believe whether it's a little more Jalen Wright, but I think even more cowbell, D.Achane, who's been playing great while Tua's been back. He's cleared this in both of these Tua games as a rusher, which is so interesting because he looked so dismal in the weeks that he was out. He couldn't get anything going. But when you have Tua in there running the offense, it opens everything up underneath. And in what you got to say, a must-win game just to keep the season alive, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of D.Achane. 54.5, I will take the over on D.Achane's rushing yards. Now let me go back to T.Hill for a second. I think he's going to be able to click like he has in the past with Tua. He just missed on a few these last couple of games. But go look at what Jackson Smith-Njigba did against this Rams secondary. What, did he almost go for 200 yards last week? T.Hill has been Mr. 200 yards in the past. So I want to take the over on a 30-plus reception for him. This is like my semi-ladder play. And then the scarier alt 40-plus over. All right, you know what? We're doing it. I gave you that ladder on all those receptions for Chase Brown. I have the leeway. I've built up the NFL bankroll. Give me the over on longest reception for T.Hill. It's like 25.5. Then give me that 30-plus. then give me the 40+. It's a mad scientist Monday with me here in the NFL. So give me the over on Tyreek Hill receiving, the over on his longest reception, and then the two alts, 30+ longest reception, 40+ longest reception. Then we got the over on rushing for D.Achane. And then I'm starting to develop something new. You know the longest rush and the longest reception? I'm trying to target, guys. You remember weeks ago, we took the under on longest rush for Ezekiel Elliott when he wasn't even getting many carries? I'm trying to target guys who aren't getting a lot of targets for longest reception or who aren't getting a lot of rushes for over or under longest rush. So what I'm looking at is with this full stable of Rams receivers in there, I want the under. I'm going to whisper it to you like I don't want anyone to hear. The under on longest reception for Colby Parkinson. He had 2 targets last week, 2 targets the week before. If we're getting the healthiest version of Kupp and Nakua, and if he's getting 2 catches, yeah, I'll take my chances that the tight end is going to go under on his longest reception. So give me the under on longest reception for Colby Parkinson. And then let's take things to the ice for a relatively decent-sized slate on a Monday. Now, I know people used to say October, but this is some sort of, you can come up with some sort of wordplay on November and under, because these games are just going under, so many of them. All 3 unders on a Sunday. It wasn't even an under Sunday. It was like a, are you seeing what's going 2-1 and 1-0 tied in the third, 1-0 Sharks depth line. So many unders in the NHL so far. And just like that roulette streak, I hate trying to tail somebody. Okay, it's all unders. You got to be there for the beginning, which is why I'm very scared to just kind of tail. But you know what? I think they let me on this train because I created the under train. I came in here talking unders when everyone was yelling overs. So I'm going to find a couple unders on this slate. The first being the under 6.5 in the Carolina Hurricanes Vegas Golden Knights game. I'm a little bit worried because Carolina gave up quite a few goals in that last game versus Colorado. Colorado has that ruckus factor, okay? That the air up there, some games can go wild. There was that wild game against the Kraken a couple games back. So they're engaging in some ruckus over there, and we'll get back to that in a second. But, you know, that styles make fights type of thing pretty much throughout the course of this season and last season and the season before that. Carolina Hurricanes are pretty trustworthy and responsible in their own end. And on the other side, Bruce Cassidy and the Vegas Golden Knights, you know they're always down to play a responsible, tough, tight checking game. Look what they did in Edmonton the other night. They are extremely comfortable playing 3-2 games, and when you get both of these teams together, there's a lot of talent on the ice, which always does make it a little worrisome, and Carolina's goaltending can be relatively suspect. But with all that said, I think this one comes down to a 4-2 game. I think we're going to use all 6 of the goals, but I do think it stays under 6.5 in that game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. Next up, let's go to Pittsburgh, where they don't have a very good team. They just simply do not have a very good team. They're not expected to make the playoffs. They're still rolling out the core from 2009. And a pretty good team in the Dallas Stars are heading into Pittsburgh, and they've lost 3 of 4. And you don't want to say it's not really their fault. It's just a very tough run of opponents. Back-to-back games against the Stanley Cup champions in Finland. They lost those, came back, beat the Blackhawks, and then went into the hottest team's building and lost in Winnipeg. Now you have a team they've been good on the road these last couple of seasons, a 3-line team with a lot of guys who can put points up against the Pittsburgh Penguins with 4 forwards who they're trying to line juggle with and make the best of. They got cracked in Carolina and then beat Washington at the end of the third, the very next night. But against Dallas, I think this might be a little bit of too much of a tall order for them. A Dallas team that's probably pretty hungry for a win after losing 3 of their last 4. So I like Dallas to win this one. And when Dallas wins, they're typically holding you down. Dallas isn't really scoring a lot at all this year. Almost every single game. How many times have they scored more than 4 goals? Not many at all. But when they do win, they're typically holding their opponents to 2 or fewer, which is why I like the under 2.5 goals for the Pittsburgh Penguins at plus 115. But I'm going to take, for you pizzeria guys out there, I said I wouldn't be behind the counter, but I walked by on my way to the back. I will take the Dallas Stars and the under 7.5 because, like I said, when they win, they tend to hold their opponents down, and they haven't been scoring a ton either. They've been trying different line assortments as well. But I'm going to go with Dallas and the under 7.5 at plus money, and then also the under 2.5 goals for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So those are the assortments that I like in that game. And then I had mentioned that Ruckus in Colorado, they rediscovered their Ruckus. Like Austin Powers finding his mojo. Oh, I had it all along. The Ruckus was always there in Colorado. They just needed to rediscover it. We saw them discover it against the Cockroach Kraken at home when they threw them a beating there. Then they went into Winnipeg, which is just a black hole right now for other teams' offenses. Then they came back to the confines, like the cush confines of Colorado, and then went ballistic against the Carolina Hurricanes. So when they get on one of those runs, I'm just looking to ride their coattails. You look at Nathan MacKinnon, always over 1.5 is minus 125. Who's always playing alongside him? Even strength in power play, that's M.Rantanen. Nathan MacKinnon's minus 125. I'll take the guy who's closer to plus 125. Give me the over 1.5 points for M.Rantanen against the Nashville Predators. And then we do have this random early game, this Montreal Canadiens, Buffalo Sabres at noon. I don't know what's going on there, but I will use this as an opportunity to always keep trickle-down snakeonomics at the forefront of your mind because it's important, ton of value. That's where all the best sniffs usually come from. Well, we know that the Canadiens have been struggling. So what are they doing? They're trying some new lines that we discovered in practice. And these lines, they bring about a couple different snakeonomics plays. Number one, remember the other night before that Edmonton game, I said, oh, we got new lines. We can take this plus money under half of a point on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's down there on the third line. This one's a little bit scarier, but we got Cole Caulfield playing on the second line. So he's away from Suzuki, not playing with Slavkovsky. But that second line was relatively productive, and the second line on the road tends to get better looks. But that under half of a point on Cole Caulfield is one of the opportunities at plus money. But if you don't want to do that, then you look at the top line. It's Suzuki playing with Slavkovsky and Kirby Dach. Two of those guys are plus money points. You can take the whole line for over plus 500, but if you take Dach and Slavkovsky both for a point in Buffalo, where, you should be able to get at least, 1, 2, maybe 3 on them, maybe even win the game. But Buffalo has won a few games in a row. But, Calgary was able to score a few on them the other day. Don't usually like goals in early games, but you never know. Buffalo, they're a member of the Scam 5. You never know when things can erupt there. So if we try Dach with Slavkovsky, we can get a nice price on that. So that's what I have for you here on this Monday. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. Make sure you subscribe here to the YouTube channel. Obviously, things come out at all different times. No rhyme, no reason. So click the notifications. What would be the best is if you hop on the Patreon, patreon.com/Andy Francess. Join the sniffers over there. If not, nowhere. I know I'll see you in a few months when I start tearing through these NHL bets. But hopefully I see you there sooner. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for some Tuesday NHL Sniffs. Take it easy. I'll talk to you then.